NFL Week 1 preview. It's Friday, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I am ecstatic, guys. This is undoubtedly my favorite 5-day span of the year because last night we had Cowboys-Eagles. Awesome game. Birds won 24-20. We recapped the game after. Now we have the remaining 15 games, and like I said, guys, this is undoubtedly my favorite 5-day span of the year. You know why? Because we have Thursday, the defending Super Bowl champions. Then we have a Brazil game Friday. Then we have college football Saturday, NFL Sunday, and then NFL Monday. Just spectacular time of the year. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the Week 1 NFL preview. So what we do on every single NFL week preview is we break down every game, obviously, as the week preview would entail or would lead you to believe that's what we do. We have a graphic for each team. Shout out my guy, Mallow, who makes them. I'm not going to say his real name just out of personal respect, but shout out to Mallow for making all the graphics. They look crisp. They look phenomenal. This game is, of course, in Sao Paulo, Brazil tonight. This is the Chiefs-Chargers Week 1. I do want to note that I think it's kind of weird that the Chiefs have a logo in the end zone. I don't know if they did that. Please comment below. I just think it's kind of weird that the Chiefs have an end zone logo despite it very clearly being a Chargers game. But anyway, so we do have notes for each and every game. So my notes for the Chiefs-Chargers, I am very curious to see how LA or really how Spags goes about defending the Chargers the Chargers receivers outside of Ladd McConkey. And I'm also very curious to see, how the Chargers plan to go around and attack this, obviously, because I would imagine that Trent McDuffie's going to shadow Ladd McConkey a lot more than Trent McDuffie normally may shadow another team's number one receiver, because there's quite a drop-off between Ladd McConkey and whether it's Trey Palmer making his NFL debut, I almost said Josh Palmer, sorry. Trey Harris, Trey Harris making his NFL, that was a botch by me, left hand up, gotta get better. Trey Harris making his NFL debut, or Josh Palmer, or Josh Palmer's on the Bills now, let me back up, I'm too excited. Trey Harris, Quentin Johnston, and then the tight ends with, Tyler Conklin now. So I'm very eager to see how they go about that. That's going to be one of the biggest things that we pay attention to within this game tonight. But also what I am very eager to see is Joe Alt at left tackle, Trey Pipkins at right tackle, obviously because Rashawn Slater is unfortunately done for the year. And that's going to prove to be a huge loss for the Chargers, because this is a franchise left tackle that you have to replace. And I mean, it was good for the Chargers to draft both Joe Alt and Ladd McConkey last year, but that's not a situation you ever want to encounter. So what I also have written down is I would like to really see the Chargers have Omarion Hampton get going early. They just spent a first-round pick on Omarion Hampton. I absolutely love Omarion Hampton, and I think this is a player that I thought was routinely just not talked about enough this summer, and a player that I think everybody is going to everybody's going to see as to why Omarion Hampton was a first-round pick, hopefully not just tonight, but really throughout the course of his rookie season and 2026 and beyond. And I'm really eager to see how the Chargers implement this. And then Najee Harris with his eye and all that, and then Mekhi Becton as well. Mekhi Becton at the time of this stream is questionable. So we're talking about a potential Chargers offensive line down two guys. Justin Herbert is Justin Herbert. To me, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. But you're going to be down Rashawn Slater, not just tonight, but all year. You may be down Mekhi Becton as well. Spags may have Trent McDuffie shadow Ladd McConkey a lot more than usual. It's going to be a tough game for the Chargers tonight. So what I'd really like to see the Chargers do is have Omarion Hampton get going early. Now, the Chargers defense, I'm going to be honest, this is a game that should favor them, all things considered. I mean, the biggest thing with the Chiefs, guys, is I want to check the over-under for this game, but the Chiefs receivers are not all that great in today. Jalen Royals is out. Rashee Rice is, of course, suspended. And then you have the Chiefs' top three receivers entering this game, of course, being last year's first-round pick Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster entering year 9, and you get the point. Like, pretty clearly, the Chiefs' receivers are not, amongst the best in the NFL, and the other receiver that they have is Hollywood Brown. So if you're the Chargers, I feel like you got to do everything you can to help prevent the deep play from happening. And go from there. But if I had to guess, I do think that this will be a lower scoring game tonight. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to pick against the Chiefs, although I think this is going to be the year where you start to see the Chiefs, kind of not fall off completely, like they're not going to miss the playoffs or anything, but you're going to see other teams start to catch up with the Chiefs. But Chiefs by 3, I think that's a very favorable line. I think it will be a 3 or 4 point game, so I do like Kansas City to win, and that is who I do think will win here. All right, we will get to all super chats, I promise. I'm going to go ahead and get to the one from Garf real quick. And then we're going to go into the next game. So I'll address super chats in between each game. Garf says, if you don't pick the Jags, I'll cry. You wouldn't want that, would you? We'll see. We'll get to the Jags game in a minute, although I am extremely excited for the Jags game. It's actually the game that I'm probably most looking forward to all week. That may surprise some people. But now we have Dolphins Colts. For the Dolphins, you are playing Daniel Jones in this game. We know what Daniel Jones is as a quarterback. He's a quarterback that has turned the football over a lot throughout his NFL career, and this is something that regularly happens with Daniel Jones. This is not something that, hey, this guy he played pretty clean football, and he just had a couple of bad games. No, he is in the all-time turnovers per game. He's up there, especially in the modern era. So get after Daniel Jones early and often. Do what you can to sell out and stop the run, and one of the biggest matchups within this game is going to be Tanner Bortolini, the starting center for the Colts, and Matt Gonzalez, the now starting right guard, against Zach Sealer and the rest of the Dolphins defense. Now, we know how, for lack of better wording, poor the Dolphins secondary is, but if the Dolphins can do a decent job of selling out to stop the run, get Jonathan Taylor bottled up, force Daniel Jones into 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 situations, and we can have, Bradley Chubb, we can have Chop Robinson, and we can, of course, have Jalen Phillips all get after Daniel Jones and Zach Sealer, one of the best-kept secrets in all of football. This is, guys, this should be a game for the Dolphins to lose. Now, if I am the Dolphins here offensively, I'm doing everything I can to run the football and to attack the middle of the field. I want to, get the Colts linebackers uncomfortable. I want to have Tua, on the timing routes that we see him so often, where he'll come out of a play action pass, turn around, boom, the ball is right there. Jalen Waddle or Tyreek makes a play for 11 or 12 yards and keeps the sticks moving. That's what I want to do all game if I am the Miami Dolphins. I also, because of how the 2024 season ended with Tyreek Hill, I want to get him going early and often too. There was, obviously, we at least all heard about the clip where Jalen Waddle asked him if he was out last year, whenever it was week 18, the Dolphins needed a win in a big game. They didn't get a win in a big game, which unfortunately has been the story of that franchise for the past 25 years, and Tyreek said that he was out. He was not out. He's still, in fact, on the team. Do whatever you can to get him the football early and often. I want Tyreek and Jalen Waddle to each finish this game with 6, 7, 8 catches, and really cook, if you will. Just for lack of better wording, just cook. Get Devon Achane the football and have our playmakers out-playmake the Colts defense and basically force Daniel Jones to beat us. So that's going to be, one of the biggest things. So, by the way, if you guys are enjoying, please like the stream. Helps tremendously, and appreciate everyone being in here. We will be doing a stream every week, every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern from here till the rest of the year. The only Friday that we will not do a stream is Black Friday, but that's 2.5 months away. That might as well just that day might as well just never come. That's 3 months away. Not really worried about that. But if you guys could like the stream, would really appreciate it. And the biggest thing, like I said, Miami, run the football, control the pace. You have an improved interior offensive line. Jonas Savaiinaea, I think I pronounced that right. I hope I pronounced that right. I Googled it a couple of times. Jonas Savaiinaea, the second-round offensive lineman, plus James Daniels. You have 2 new guards. Run the football and do what you can. Do not make mistakes, and Miami should win this game. So I am going to pick Miami to win. That's going to be the biggest thing with Miami. Simply limit turnovers, and you should be good. Also for the Colts, get Jonathan Taylor, get Tyler Warren going. But for Miami, it's going to be to limit mistakes. That's going to be by far the biggest thing for them. Somebody said that the haircut is looking clean. I appreciate that. Got it cut this morning. I actually dyed the tips invisible. So, dyed the tips invisible this morning. And, so appreciate the cut looking clean. That's for my guy Kostler. Appreciate it. And, Let's keep it rolling. I'll be at the game watching Daniel Jones ruin my love of football. I love that. I love that. All right, we are on to Steelers Jets. Got to stay hydrated, fellas. Got to stay hydrated. All right, we have Steelers Jets. So right now, there was a tweet a couple of minutes ago about Cam Hayward, and I am just making sure. I just want to have everything here, because the tweet was that there was basically nothing new about Cam Hayward, and this was from Adam Schefter, and I want to get the exact wording here. This is from Adam Schefter. He reposted something from Brooke Pryor. Brooke Pryor is an ESPN NFL reporter covering the Steelers. She said, quote, "I asked Hayward about his availability this season if he doesn't play Sunday and a deal isn't reached." Quote from Cam Hayward, "I don't want to have to think about that. I'd like to think cooler heads prevail and we move forward, but if it does get to that, we'll cross that bridge when we get there." End quote. So, with the Steelers here, Derek Harmon is out week 1, and I would like to think Cam Hayward's out week 1 now. So you're down 2 interior defensive linemen, right from the start against the Jets, whose offensive line is pretty solid. Now, unfortunately, the Jets did lose Elijah Vera Tucker for the year, and AVT has had a tremendously bad stretch of injury luck throughout his career. And I mean, he's in year 5 now. I hope that he continues to play and that, the years 6 through 10 will be injury free. But this is an offensive line that, they just drafted. They just drafted. Oh, I'm so sorry. They just drafted Olu Fashanu last year from Penn State, who I absolutely loved. Loved Olu as a prospect, and I think he played solid, although he was forced to kick inside to guard at times last year. And now that they have him back at left tackle, I think he's going to be fine. But they also selected Armand Membu this year in the first round. Loved Membu coming out of Missouri. Think he's a really good prospect, and that the Jets legitimately have their tackle duo of the future in Fashanu and now Armand Membu. And now we have Breece Hall in a contract year. We have 2 hungry tackles. We have a running back in a contract year. We also have Braylon Allen. We have Cam Hayward out. We have, like we said, Derek Harmon out. If I'm the New York Jets, I'm doing everything I can to run the football right at the Pittsburgh Steelers within this game. Now, I will be honest. I worry about this with the Jets strongly, that the Jets are not going to be able to keep up. And that's going to be a common thing with the 2025 Jets this year is, hey, team gets up 13-0, 14-0, 17-0 midway through the second quarter, and we can't claw ourselves out because we have Justin Fields at quarterback. And not only that, but the Jets receiving core outside of Garrett Wilson, for lack of better wording, is it's not good, man. It's bad. It is bad. And that's going to be another thing is do we trust Alan Lazard? Do we trust? Josh Reynolds is serviceable, so I don't want to include Josh Reynolds as a bad player. But outside of Josh Reynolds, we're looking at Alan Lazard, Xavier Gibson, a 4th-round selection, and Arian Smith, who I have a lot of questions about. And Arian Smith had severe drop problems during his time at Georgia. So that's going to be the biggest thing with the Jets is they're going to have to play a lot of bend, don't break offensively, meaning if we turn the football over and if we get down double digits, it's going to be tough for this team to claw back out of. Now, I will go with the Steelers to win this game, although I will acknowledge from a matchup perspective, Sauce Gardner was just paid. I would really like to see, now that he is, one of the highest paid corners in football, and whichever corner is next to get paid, they'll eclipse him, and then, that guy will eclipse the next guy, and that's how it goes. But now that Sauce is in that stratosphere, I want to see Sauce travel with receivers. I want to see Sauce on DK Metcalf for the majority of the game and basically say, hey, outside of DK Metcalf, you have Calvin Austin, you have Roman Wilson with a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Beat us. That's what I'd really like to see. Now, they also signed Jaylen Warren to a contract extension this week, the Steelers, that is, and I will be eager to see how they do the running back duo of Jaylen Warren and Caleb Johnson, a third-round rookie from Iowa. So lots to pay attention to in this game, but ultimately I do think these Steelers will win. So we're going to go with Pittsburgh to win. Should be a close game, but like I said, I am going to go with the Steelers to win that one, and it's going to be kind of I don't trust the horses the Jets have offensively. Now, Giants at Commanders. This is going to be a fun game. And by the way, I do want to I really want to shout out the NFL. We discussed this last night within the Cowboys-Eagles recap. Is I love how many division games we have in week 1. Having as many division games as we have is incredible. It's hard-hitting, it's passionate, you can see the guys jawing, you can see them all talking crap, if you will, just talking and jawing all game, and that's definitely going to happen in this game. And you have Abdul Carter, you have Dexter Lawrence, we have Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, all going after Jaden Daniels. The Commanders also traded for Laramie Tunsil this offseason. They drafted Josh Connerly in the first round. I think they have the tackles to handle those guys, and that's going to be an interesting matchup. How are the tackles going to be able to handle the elite pass rush that the Giants have? And then can we have Dexter Lawrence get one-on-one opportunities? Can we scheme something open to where, a linebacker comes in on a blitz and then drops back out and give Dexter Lawrence a one-on-one situation to go up the middle at Jaden Daniels? But as you guys can probably imagine, I do think the Commanders are going to win this one unless the Giants defense absolutely takes over. I worry about the Giants regularly being able to keep up with other teams, though I do think there is a very good chance that Malik Neighbors leads the NFL or finishes top 3 in the NFL in receiving yards this year. He's going to be peppered the football quite a bit, and Malik Neighbors, I went through his targets this offseason back in May area, and it was a miracle that he had the year that he had last year. The passes that he was thrown regularly, whether it was by Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, whoever, although he had the one really good game against the Colts with Drew Lock, it was a miracle that Malik Neighbors had the year he did. So I am looking forward to an improved Malik Neighbors this year and an improved connection with whether it's Russ or Jackson Dart. I don't think Jameis is going to play much, if at all, this year. I kind of hope he doesn't. No disrespect. I would just rather see Jackson Dart before Jameis. But for this game specifically, I do think the Commanders are going to win. I trust the Commanders' offense more than I trust the Giants' offense at this point, and I'm also really, really eager to see how Jaden Daniels plays in year 2, because the expectations are here now. The expectations are, they're high. You just went to the NFC Championship game in year 1. How are we going to answer that? So I'm going to go with Commanders. I think it's going to be something along the lines of 20-17, but this is definitely a game to pay attention to. So curious to see who you guys think wins all these games. Somebody said, "Who day?" What's up, Brendan? What's up? First live stream of the season. Football is back. Love the analysis in quotations, or in parentheses, rather. So we're back, guys. We are back. Let's see here. All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling, baby. We have Raiders, Patriots. Now, very interesting matchup here. And I'm not just saying that just to, build some buzz about the Raiders and Patriots. This is an interesting game because Christian Gonzalez is out. So Christian Gonzalez being out makes this a lot more interesting of a matchup, because now you have to ask the question of, okay, how are we going to stop or limit Brock Bowers? Because Brock Bowers had the year that he had last year with not great quarterback play. It was a combination of Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. And now that we have improved quarterback play, along with an actual running back in Ashton Genty, rather than heading into the year with Sincere McCormick and Alexander Madison, this is a tough matchup for the Patriots. Now, I think it is worth noting that Las Vegas to Boston, I know they play in Foxborough, but you get the point. Las Vegas to Boston is quite the trip, especially early in the year where, hey, 1 p.m. kickoff, West Coast time. That's worth noting, but this is going to be a tough matchup for New England to be able to try and stop Brock Bowers, because they selected Craig Woodson, a DB from Cal, in the 4th round this year, and I like Craig Woodson a lot. And I was pretty vocal about liking the New England Patriots draft class. I don't like Craig Woodson in his NFL debut trying to be tasked to stop Brock Bowers in his NFL debut. So I think there's a very real chance New England loses this game, and it's due in large part to the matchup not favoring them. But what I will also say as a counterpoint is the Patriots offense is, while, Stephon Diggs and Kyle Williams and hopefully a little bit of Efton Chisholm throughout the year and Pop Douglas and everybody else they have, while that's not going to be confused with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, the receivers they have are enough to present a problem for the Raiders secondary. I have a lot of concerns with the Raiders secondary. And I think this would be, I mean, if anybody, bets the overs and unders, I think this is a good game to take the over, because this is going to be, you're going to have coaching staffs for the first time in a live game together, and I'm eager to see how this all plays out. And by the way, I do want to note, and by the way, not just called this, I was getting ready to say this, Dante Thornton could be the X factor in this game. Dante Thornton could have 2 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. Dante Thornton is going to be a player to pay attention to all year, and that's going to be a guy who I can't wait to see how they utilize him in the targets, because this is a guy that's 6'4", 6'5", 4'3", legit 4'3" speed. How are they going to handle that without Christian Gonzalez? Not that he would be, islanding, Dante Thornton, but how are they going to handle that with Brock Bowers, with Ashton Genty, and Chip Kelly's going to have he's going to not have his work cut out for him, but he's going to have his options. I'll leave it at that. Now, hell or high water, I am going to choose the Raiders to win this game, but I am curious to see who you guys think. But that's this is going to be a very high-scoring game, and I am very much looking forward to Raiders-Patriots. Should be high-scoring, should be very fun, should be high-tempo, should be a very fun game. Now, Bengals-Browns. I'm just going to be honest here. Bengals, we cannot start out the way we have the last couple of years. Joe Burrow is, I want to say, 1-9 in the first two weeks of his career lifetime. His one win, maybe not 1-9. I think 1-9 adds up. 1-9. You can't have a slow start. You are playing a team on paper. I don't think even Browns fans would dispute this. I mean, if you're a Browns fan, I would love to hear the argument as to why you think you're better than the Bengals on paper. Joe Flacco at 40 is not better than Burrow. Jerry Jeudy's not better than Jamar. Myles Garrett is, he's the best player on the field when he's on the field, but that does make up for everything. So with this, Cincinnati has to win. You played your starters in the preseason. You did not have any injuries last year to recover from. Everybody got paid. Now it's time to perform. That is the bottom line. There is no other, hey, well, Joe Flacco turned the clock back 15 years and had 317 yards and 4 touchdowns and beat us. Shucks. We lost 28-24. Tough one. There's no room for that. There is no room for that. Get Jamar Chase, T. Higgins going. I would also say to attack nickel corner Cameron Mitchell. He's a 2023 5th-round corner from Northwestern. You have to win this game if you're Cincinnati. Now, one thing I do want to preface is not just with the Bengals, we'll also talk about this with the Cardinals here coming up shortly. If you lose this game, it's not the end of the world. If the Bengals lose this game, that does not mean their season's done. They're going 0-17. No. But it has the chance to snowball, and we saw what happened last year. You did a lot of things right this offseason, Cincinnati. You paid T, you paid Jamar. There was a lot of bumps in the road. Eventually, Trey and Shamar and all that worked out. But you cannot afford to lose this game in the opener. Their schedule gets pretty tough. And for reference, Cincinnati's schedule, just to give you an idea here in terms of what it is, after this, they play home against the Jags, at Minnesota, at Denver, versus the Lions, at Green Bay. You can't afford to lose this game when you know you are the better team. Now, for Cleveland, one thing that I do want to preface with Cleveland, and we'll discuss this with New Orleans as well, there's not going to be many games where I say, hey, Cleveland's going to go into Baltimore and beat the Ravens. You know what I mean, right? But their keys to this game: keep the game close and limit mistakes and attack the Bengals secondary, because there's some questions in the Bengals secondary. And we discussed this last week, but during the Browns team preview, but the Browns last year, as if, starting all the quarterbacks they did wasn't enough, because the Browns quarterbacks last year were really bad. They finished dead last in points per game. They had a minus 22 turnover margin. Even if they have a 0 turnover margin and finish maybe 28th in points per game, they probably win 3 more games. So the biggest thing that I do want to hammer home with the Browns is they're not this truly abysmal roster people think they are. But if you are the Cincinnati Bengals with legitimate Super Bowl aspirations, you have a MVP caliber quarterback in his prime, and from a talent standpoint, a Hall of Fame number one receiver. I'm not getting into the, what he's going to finish with, how many Pro Bowls, all that. But Jamar Chase is a Hall of Fame talent receiver. You can't go out and lose this game when you know internally in Southwest Ohio that you are thinking Super Bowl this year. The Bengals are not thinking, hey guys, Joe Burrow's not, he's not going into meetings and saying, hey guys, let's have 9 wins this year. Hopefully we get to the playoffs and Lamar and the Ravens are pretty good. So if we can compete with them, that's a win. You got to win this game. That's all there is to it. That you have to win this game if you were the Cincinnati Bengals. Show everyone why this year is different. All right, now Bucs Falcons. A lot of players out for the Bucs. Chris Godwin, Tristan Wirfs, Benjamin Morrison, Christian Izzy, and all out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this game. They're on the road. This is an interesting game because we have a Todd Bowles defense against Michael Penix in his, it's not his debut, but it's his week 1 starting debut, if you will. It's not his rookie season, but it in some ways kind of is his rookie season. You get where I'm going with this. We saw Kirk Cousins absolutely dice up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary last year. Kirk Cousins did a great job of hitting his guys in the middle of the field. And there's one play I remember, it was the game winner. He hit his guy in the middle of the field, and he took it the rest of the way for the game winner on Thursday night. In the game that Matt Ryan was getting inducted to the Falcons Ring of Honor, Kirk had 509 yards, broke Matt Ryan's single-game record, right? Michael Penix does a good job of hitting his targets outside of the numbers, in the outer portion of the field, where Kirk, throughout most of his career, did a good job of hitting his guys inside the numbers. And that's going to be something that Michael Penix is going to have to prove regularly at the NFL level, that he can consistently do that. Now, it is also worth noting for the Falcons that Vita Vea is playing, and Drew Dahlman is not their center anymore. He's in Chicago. So they're starting Ryan Neusel at center, and not only are they starting Ryan Neusel at center, but Caleb McGarry, the talented right tackle for the Falcons, is also going to miss the entire year. So we have 2 out of 5 offensive linemen that we have to replace, and that's definitely not an ideal situation for the Falcons against a Todd Bowles-led defense. And I know they have Tristan Wirfs out. That's definitely, that's another Hall of Fame talent player. In terms of, he's the only player ever to be first-team All-Pro at both left and right tackle. So they are starting Charlie Heck out at left tackle. There's a couple matchups that I'm watching in this game. James Pierce Jr., NFL debut against Charlie Heck. That's a big one. I'll also be watching Vita Vea against the Falcons interior, not just because of, Chris Lindstrom being there, but with the center now, with Ryan Neusel, and then Kalijah Kancey, who I think takes a big step in year 3, and Michael Penix, of course, against the Bucs secondary. Now, ultimately, and the Bucs also have a new offensive coordinator, and as Liam Cohen's now the Jags head coach, but this is going to be a very interesting game, one I'm also very much looking forward to, but right now, I trust Todd Bowles' team more than I trust Raheem Morris's team right this second. I trust Baker Mayfield more. I trust not Bucky Irving more than Bijan. Bijan is without a doubt one of the best in the NFL, but I think the Bucs have a more talented roster, and I don't think even Falcons fans would disagree with that. I think that Falcons fans would argue that Penix's ceiling is as high as they want to argue that it will be, because there were certainly some impressive throws Penix made last year. But I am going to go with Tampa Bay to win this game. I think it's going to be one of the better games of the week. And like I said, I can't emphasize enough just how much I love the fact that we have several division games in week 1. So, all right. All right. Is Penix the guy for the Falcons, or should they take a look at guys in the draft? I definitely think he's the guy. I'm a big Penix guy. Now, here we go. This is, without a doubt, one of my favorite games of the week. If you want to talk about, hey, I'm interested in what the future of the NFL looks like, this is a game for you, because there's several matchups to pay attention to in this game. And I'm going to start with Ike Mekwonu, left tackle, Panthers, out. You have Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker ready to feast against Bryce Young in this game. And when you think about it, this is going to be one of the better, they're already one of the better edge duos in the league, but Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker, to me, are a better pass rushing duo than any duo in the Panthers division, because the Saints, it's Chase Young and Carl Granderson. I'm taking Hines Allen and Trayvon every time. The Bucs, I'm still taking Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker personally. And then you look at the Falcons with James Pierce Jr. making his NFL debut. I like James Pierce Jr., but I don't think he's going to be at the level of Josh Hines Allen quite yet. And even that would be a huge hit of a first round pick if he ever gets there. So I'm taking, this is going to be one of the better edge rushing duos they're going to face all year long. And they have their backup left tackle in the game, which worries me for the Carolina Panthers, because there's a lot of questions to answer for both sides. And when you talk about narratives, when you talk about, oh, well, this is how this is going to go, whatever, I worry for Bryce Young in this game, because Adam Thielen was his go-to guy down the stretch last year, and he's gone. And your backup left tackle is also gone. And I like Tetairoa McMillan quite a bit, but Tyson Campbell, I would imagine he's not going to shadow him the whole game, but he's going to be on him a lot. And then it's going to be on Xavier Legette to take a step this year, which I hope he does. And then Hunter Renfrow, who hasn't played in the NFL in a couple of years. And then David Moore. And I like Jatavian Sanders as well. I do like Jatavian Sanders, the tight end, who's a second-year player from Texas, a lot. But to me, this is all the makings of a game for the Panthers to let one thing snowball. No Ike Mekwonu, no Adam Thielen. Tetairoa is going to be on a really good corner, a really good veteran corner. A tremendous edge rushing duo, without a doubt one of the best you're going to see all year, and you're in a very much prove it / now or never year with Bryce Young. Not to say the Panthers can't win this game, but and one thing that I preface is Super Bowls aren't won and lost in week 1. Obviously, but this is a game that could get ugly for the Panthers. I do think Jacksonville will win, and by the way, I do want to acknowledge a couple of things on Jacksonville's side. Is if I am Liam Cohen, I am getting Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter going early, because outside of J.C. Horn, I don't trust the Panthers corners. And Carolina fans know how brutal it was last year to watch this run defense. It was all-time bad. And I do want to credit Dan Morgan for making the moves that he made this offseason in terms of getting the roster better. But getting the roster from one of the worst to 8th or 10th best is not where they are. It's bottom of the barrel to maybe 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, somewhere in there. 24th, somewhere in there, maybe 25th. It's a long way to go up. So I'm going to choose the Jags to win this game. And I really think that, we're going to see Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. I think they're going to have a really, really solid game. And I think this is going to be something along the lines of 27-20. Jags are favored by 2.5. I would definitely take the spread here. I also go back to the fact that Liam Cohen has, game plan against this defense a lot. I know, again, the Panthers made significant changes this offseason. And also, by the way, Derek Brown is going to be back. He only played one game last year. And the Panthers' defensive line looks a lot better. But I still have questions, and Rome was not built in a day. And this year's going to be a work in progress for the Panthers. I think the Panthers are very much a team that will get better over the course of the season. But I'm going to take the Jags in this one. All right. Winslow, appreciate the super chat. Appreciate it, KP. Appreciate it. Wins, losses, prediction for the Jags. Also, Skull. The Jags play in a very favorable division. So it's not unreasonable for the Jags to have 9, 10, 11 wins this year, if everything goes according to plan. I really think the Jags are going to win this one, and they're going to be tested in week 2 against the Bengals. All right, now we have Cardinals Saints. Let's go ahead and just address the elephant in the room here. The Cardinals, I've been a big supporter of over the past couple of years. I like what they're building. I like Monty Ossenfort a lot. I think he's been doing a really good job in terms of team building and just in terms of everything they've done. Walter Nolan, Will Johnson this year, Marvin Harrison Jr. last year, Max Melton last year, Darius Robinson. They had a really good draft class in 24. They had a good first couple of picks this year in 2025. Jordan Birch even had a couple of splash plays in the preseason I saw. If you do not win this game, I'm going to question a couple things. Now, again, Super Bowls aren't won and lost in week 1, but I'm going to question, where the Cardinals are unless they win the next, unless they start out 5-2 or 6-2 or something along those lines and really put this to rest, because you can't lose this game. Cardinals' first 5 games, we'll say first 6 games, at New Orleans versus the Panthers. No reason to not start out at minimum 1-1, if not 2-0 if you're the Cardinals. At San Francisco, tough. Versus Seattle, also tough. Versus the Titans at the Colts for the Cardinals' first 6 games. No reason, with the improvements they made, to not be probably, I'd say 4-2 through the first 6 games. You have to play the teams that are in front of you. And one really good matchup that I want to highlight in this, and by the way, I'm not just going to say the Saints stink and move on, because the Saints can be a problem if you catch them on the wrong day. They really can, because their offensive line is really good. It's underrated. And if you play a good offensive line and you make mistakes, you have a couple batted balls go the other way, you make a mistake on special teams, you can look up and you're down 14-0 to the Spencer Rattler-led Saints. So I don't want this to come across as, Saints stink, they're going 3-14, 2-15, and just not actually talk about them. I love Kelvin Banks. I love Talisi Fuaga. Eric McCoy is a really, really good player. Now, I do have concerns with the Saints' run defense. That's a big concern. And that's also going to play into this for the Cardinals as to, hey, we have built this over the past couple of years. We want to run the football. We want to get James Conner. We want to get Trey Benson going. How are we going to implement that? It's going to be one thing to pay attention to. Ultimately, I am going to go with the Cardinals to win. But the Saints are not a team to take easy. Do not just scoff at the Saints. Now, if you do have a game where Spencer Rattler takes 6 unnecessary sacks, throws 2-3 interceptions, you're going to win that game 99% of the time. But the one thing I want to hammer home is the Saints can be an absolute thorn in team sides with Alvin Kamara, with Devin Neal, who I do think is an underrated player and a player that could easily start for this team in 2026. And do not make mistakes against the Saints, because they can milk the clock, they can run the football behind that big offensive line. But if you are the Arizona Cardinals with everything that you have pushed towards over the past couple of years, you got like the Bengals against the Browns, you have to win this game. All right, we have Titans Broncos. Now, this is just a very unfavorable matchup for the Tennessee Titans, because I don't think the Titans are an inherently bad team, and I don't think they're number 1 overall pick bad. They had several things that did not go their way last year, but I do think Cam Ward will be a really good quarterback over time. But when you are heading into Denver against Pat Surtain, against Riley Moss, against Jahdae Barron, against Nick Bonito, and everybody else they have on that defense is one of the best in football. They just brought in Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga and everybody else they have, and Zach Allen, who's one of the best interior defensive linemen in football. And your top 3 receivers are Calvin Ridley, Elikai O'Manor, and a very old, at this point, Tyler Lockett. I have a lot of questions for the Tennessee Titans. The biggest thing is to try and continuously pound the rock. Keep Bo Nix and the Broncos off the field. This is a poor matchup for the Tennessee Titans, because this is, especially when you factor in the early September elevation in Denver, not that the elevation changes from September to December, but the early September warmth plus the elevation, and it's a number 1 overall pick on the road against a true no-fly zone. There's not many more picture-perfect worst starting matchup or starting opportunities for a number 1 overall pick to walk into than this. Denver's defense is one of the best in the NFL. I'm going to choose Denver to win. I think Tennessee can cover the spread. It's 7.5. I've seen 7.5, 8.5. I definitely think Tennessee can cover the spread. I don't think it's a matter of that. I don't think Denver's going to win 31-10 or anything like that. But I would also argue for the Tennessee Titans that, we can't have the same mistakes we had with Brian Callahan last year. And that's kind of one of my concerns with Brian Callahan is, hey, we last year were an extremely undisciplined team, and we were also a bad team. The special teams was terrible. Will Levis and the offense made several bad turnovers at poor times, and you guys know the turnovers. If those don't get cleaned up, I think there's a very real chance that Brian Callahan's 2-0. So we'll see how this goes. That's Brian Callahan's job is definitely going to be something to pay attention to over the course of the season. But this is a poor matchup for the Titans in week 1. San Francisco, Seattle. San Francisco favored by 1.5. I'll be honest, I was very surprised by the fact that the 49ers are favored by 1.5. Not that they can't win this game, but San Francisco is really, really banged up heading into this game. No Brandon Ayuk, no Jacob Cowing, no Trent Taylor. Juwan Jennings is questionable. So you're really heading into the game with, not a full 100% Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who was just cut by the Seahawks. Those are your top 3 receivers. And you also have to hope that Christian McCaffrey holds up for an entire year. And from the defensive standpoint, Alfred Collins was banged up this summer. Upton Stout was banged up this summer. Micah Williams was banged up this summer. This is a team that I worry about in week 1 and week 2 and in the early parts of the year, because they're still getting over injury. They're still a very young team and at positions you don't want to have inexperience at. And that's where I worry with the 49ers. There was definitely parts of their offensive line that was also banged up. Ben Barch and Dominic Pooney most notably. This is a very unfavorable matchup for the 49ers in week 1 based on everything that happened to them this summer and just how not 100% they are heading into the year. So there's a lot that can go wrong for the 49ers. But what I will say is, and also with the fact that the 49ers lost to the Seahawks last year when they played at Levi Stadium in the Bay Area. And there was a big difference between the first time they played on that Thursday night game when the 49ers put up 36 points and the second time they played. And the Mike Macdonald Seahawks-led defense, you guys know I'm a big Mike Macdonald fan, they got better over the course of the 24 season, and I think that's going to continue. So I do think that the Seahawks are going to win this game. I really, really like everything they're doing from a process standpoint, and I think that Byron Murphy's going to take a step. And you talk about 2 big guys brawling. I can't wait to see Byron Murphy against Dominic Pooney. I hope we see a couple one-on-ones in pass pro. That's going to be a fun one. But I think that the Seahawks are a really solid team. I released a video today, bold prediction video, had the Seahawks winning the division in the video. They are currently on both, FanDuel and DraftKings. They were the lowest rated team or the highest odds to win the NFC West, or the lowest, what I'm trying to say. It was the most money to pay out is what I'm saying. This is going to be a tough game. I think Seattle wins, especially at Lumen Field, especially with the crowd rocking, the 12s going. I'm going to take Seattle to win this one. Now, Houston versus the Rams. What's up, Speedy? How we doing? I'm actually going to take a quick second. I just need to take a drink. Whew. We are so back, by the way. We are so back. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying, please like the stream. Helps tremendously. Let's get up to 100 likes. Appreciate everyone being here. We're going to be live every Friday or every week for the team previews. I do want to say quickly that there will be a guest next week. There will be a guest. So we'll just, we're probably going to have a guest this year, and I'll just leave it at that. You guys can guess in the comments who that would be. But there's going to be guests on a guest to help me with the weekly previews throughout the 25 season. Anyway, Texans Rams, here we go. This is a game that, as simple as this is, what's going to come down to? But it's simple here. Whose offensive line holds up? That's it. That's it. I have a lot of questions around the Texans both offensive lines, but definitely the Texans offensive line, because there's a chance that we're going to have Ariante Ursary in his NFL debut against Jared Verse. That's not ideal. Laken Tomlinson was on the Seahawks last year, and that was a very poor interior offensive line, and he's not on the Seahawks anymore. Ed Ingram is the Texans starting right guard, and Ed Ingram is not good. I'll just leave it at that. He's not good. And you're going up against, Jared Verse and Kobe Turner and everybody the Rams have, and Braden Fisk. Good luck. I really struggle to see how the Texans are going to consistently run the football in this game. And that's, especially given you're also on the road, you are in a terrible situation. And the Rams also have Poona Ford now, by the way. That's also going to be a big factor within the Chargers game tonight is no Poona Ford. But Braden Fisk, Poona Ford, Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Jared Verse. I do have questions about the Rams secondary, but if you don't have time to throw, it's going to be difficult for CJ Stroud to lead this team to put up, 23, 24 points, which is what I think it's going to be or required to win this game. But the same thing also applies to Matt Stafford and the Rams because Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, they are very good at what they do. Danielle Hunter led the league in TFLs a couple years ago. This team likes to not just pin their ears back in terms of getting after the quarterback, but they really like to get in the backfield and make, huge run tackles for loss. I think it's going to be a really defensive game. Despite having Nico Collins and Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, unless Puka or Devontae can beat Stingley or Kamari Lassiter multiple times and Stafford has the time, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 13-10 game. I really would not be. This is going to be a low scoring game. This is going to be. CJ Stroud and Matt Stafford. They should probably. They're both going to be very sore Monday morning. But I am going to go with the Rams to win this game. I do not trust the Texans' offensive line. I trust the Texans' offensive line less than I trust the Rams. All right. What game this year has got to be an Ultra Tank Bowl? This is from Drano. Appreciate the super chat. I think we can take a look here. Let's just give me 1 sec here. Ultra Tank Bowl. I'm just looking at the Browns schedule. Browns Dolphins is going to be a contender if neither team figures it out. I'll just leave it at that. All right, let's keep it rolling here. We have Lions Packers. This is a very, very interesting game. And I'll be honest, I think after the Micah Parsons trade, this is going to favor the Packers for a couple reasons. Now, if you want to choose the Lions to win, go for it. I would never object to picking the Lions to win a game. But the Packers' biggest concern for me heading into the year was a true number one pass rusher. Now, you guys know that I am a Vikings fan, and whenever I made that video, I was concerned about the Packers' number one pass rusher. Immediately, oh, you're an idiot. Rashawn Gary's good, and you're just some dumb biased Vikings fan. And what I asked the question was, is Rashawn Gary in that Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, TJ Watt, Max Crosby? Is he in that tier? No, and he's not. But you know who is in that tier? Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a one-of-one player. He can line up everywhere. He can line up inside. He can line up outside. He can run right through a tackle. He can run right through a guard. He is again, I go back to this. He is a Hall of Fame talent. Period. He is one of the best pass rushers of the 2020s. And now that you have him, the Lions have multiple new starters along the interior offensive line. And you have a right guard making his NFL debut in Tate Ratledge. I worry about that because Jeff Hafley, the Packers defensive coordinator, also knows that. Jared Goff had one of the biggest differences in EPA per pass last year between when he was kept clean and when he was under pressure. And whenever we saw these teams play last year, the Packers could not consistently generate pressure. But that's not going to be a problem anymore. And the Packers offense, to me, is also a little underrated. I think that they should receive a little more love than they do nationally. No pun intended with the quarterback, by the way. But you have a Hall of Fame pass rusher, at least in talent, now on the squad, making his debut. You can line him up wherever. You can put him on a second-round rookie guard. You can then line him up against your left tackle. You can line him up wherever. And you also have a really good Pro Bowl caliber pass rusher in Rashawn Gary. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I am going to pick the Packers to win. I really, really think that this is going to be a tight game. It's going to be one of the best games of the week. And I think the Lions are going to be a team that's going to look a lot better. And not that they're going to look bad, by the way. But you also have the new play caller and everything along those lines and how we're going to figure that out. And now we have to deal with Micah Parsons, who nobody has any idea how the Packers are going to use Micah Parsons. There's no, hey, they lined him up, 22 snaps over the left tackle last week. Hey, they lined him up 17 snaps in the A-gap last week. In third down specific situations, they lined him up 84% of the time, in the right side B-gap. Nobody knows anything. I'm going to choose the Packers. It's going to be a very, very close game. But I'm gonna go with the Packers to win this game. It's gonna be such a fun game, and I'm looking forward to it almost as much as I'm looking forward to Ravens Bills. By the way, drop who you guys think is gonna win this game, because this is the meme, the one that's absolute cinema. That's this game. That is this game. All right, Tony Fabo, good point. Let me go back actually real quick, because you're 100% right. Tony Fabo, you're 100% right. So let me go ahead and go back to this real quick. I don't understand the talk about Parsons and then not talking about Hutch. The biggest thing with Hutch, he's also a phenomenal player. I thought he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year last year before he got hurt, so I want to go back to this real quick, is you can double and also, well, not triple. I mean, you could triple, but you can double team Hutch. I don't worry about the Lions' second rusher the way that I worry about the Packers. Marcus Davenport, to me, is, by every definition, a wild card. The Lions also don't have a Lee McNeil in this game. The Packers are also going to try to run the football up the middle, and that's going to be what they're going to try to want to do. They're going to run the football, put the Lions in situations where they have to pass the football, get Jared Goff under pressure, and force him to make mistakes the way that he did last year. Now, Hutch, one of the absolute best in the NFL as well. Did not mean to disrespect him, by the way. You were 100% right. So, anyway, I think the Packers are going to win, but would not be surprised at all if the Lions do. I mean, this is going to be one of the best games of the week. Now, Ravens-Bills. Obviously, we know what happened last year in the divisional round of the playoffs. And while this is not a division game, this is all of the hatred and the bitterness and the physicality that you would see in a division game in week 1. 2023 MVP Lamar Jackson, 2024 MVP Josh Allen. And the Bills are going to be at a tough situation because they're going to be down Maxwell Hairston, and they could also be down Tre'Davious White as well. And you'd be looking at your corners outside of Christian Benford and Taron Johnson. You'd be looking at, Dorian Strong, Jamarcus Ingram. That's not ideal. And then you're basically saying to Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp, hey, go figure it out on Mark Andrews. Go figure it out. It's not an ideal situation to be in. And if I'm the Ravens, I know the Ravens like to get into those weird formations where they'll bring in Pat Ricard, the 300-pound fullback. What I would like to see from the Ravens in this game is to run a lot of 11 personnel, have Zay Flowers, DeAndre Hopkins, Rashad Bateman all out on the field, Mark Andrews as well, Derrick Henry, and then Lamar Jackson. Those are your skill position players. And basically say, stop us. You want to go ahead and put Christian Benford on Zay Flowers all game, go for it. Guess what? You want to run too high, guess what we're going to do? We're going to have Derrick Henry get the football, and we're going to have Derrick Henry with a 10-yard runway hit Taylor Rapp right in the mouth, and see how many times Taylor Rapp comes up and asks for seconds. And the same thing applies to Cole Bishop too. I think this is kind of like an obvious statement here, but with the Bills' corners already thin, this obviously favors Baltimore. But we saw last year the Ravens absolutely handled the Bills in the regular season. I don't think they're going to win by 25 points this time around, but I do think the Ravens are going to win. I think the Ravens are a more complete team. They're also, at this point, a little less injured than the Bills, and that's especially effective defensively when you are playing a quarterback that is a player that is coming off of a 41-4 touchdown to interception ratio season, and you have multiple corners out. I'm going to go with the Ravens to win. I also think the Ravens have a better roster, and I do think it should be noted the Ravens are my preseason Super Bowl pick. I think that this is by far the best chance they've had in the Lamar Jackson era so far, not the Lamar Jackson era, but this specific group of guys, and in a lot of ways, I think this is a good way to set the tone for the year. I mean, this Ravens secondary of Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, Jair Alexander, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, it's one of the best in the NFL. It is one of the best in the NFL, if not the best. I would say them, Denver, maybe somebody else I'm forgetting, but those two secondaries are the best of the NFL, man. And I think the Ravens are going to win. It's going to be one hell of a game, though. One hell of a game. All right. Vikings, Bears. Ben Johnson, Brian Flores. This is going to be, again, another absolute cinema. Shout out the NFL for the Week 1 schedule, because this is one hell of a Week 1. But Ben Johnson, Brian Flores, we know how Ben Johnson has cooked Brian Flores over the past couple times they played, and that's definitely kept Brian Flores up at night. This has been there's no doubt Brian Flores has been thinking about this for a very, very long time. And not only that, now Ben Johnson is in Chicago. He has DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, Colson Loveland, Cole Kmet. The one thing that I do worry about with the Bears this year is definitely the run game. DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai and Roshan Johnson are stratospheres away from Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. But this is going to be one hell of a game. And I really look forward to the chess match that we're going to see. Flores is going to throw the kitchen sink and then some at Caleb Williams from a pressure standpoint early on. And Flores had Caleb Williams in trouble when they went to Minnesota last year. Now, Caleb Williams, what is not discussed, because unfortunately the positives from Caleb Williams' rookie season just really are not discussed anywhere close to as much as they should be. Caleb Williams had one of the best games of his rookie season against Brian Flores and the Vikings earlier in the year at Soldier Field. But when you look at the Minnesota Vikings in this, and you say, hey, this is a 14-win team. They are, their defensive linemen last year entering Week 18 of the wildcard round were Jonathan Bullard, Jerry Tillery, and Harrison Phillips. And now it's Javon Hargrave and Jalen Redmond and Jonathan Allen. You have year 2 of Dallas Turner. I definitely worry about the Vikings secondary. That's definitely a big note or a big point of concern. But this is, guys, the Vikings roster is one of the best in the NFL. There's a big wild card, of course, which is J.J. McCarthy, a quarterback. But I'm going to trust a Kevin O'Connell team that is 34-17 lifetime under O'Connell to go on the road and get a tough division win. And what I will also say is I think there's going to be a lot of ugly play at times from both J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams. And somebody did just comment that it will be such a wild card, and it is. And that's actually from Jonathan. It is going to be a true wild card. What I will say, I will be live for this game. So mark your calendars. We will be live for this game on Monday night. So definitely be here for that. But this is going to be, Vikings, Bears, Ben Johnson, Brian Flores, Kevin O'Connell. There's a lot of narratives about this game from either side. If the Vikings win 24-7, 27-10, Caleb Williams gets under pressure, throws 2 interceptions. Because he had Andrew Van Ginkel running him down from the backside. He throws one up. Ball gets tipped right into Blake Cashman's arms, interception going the other way. Caleb can't play under pressure. The lights are too bright for him. You can't have a quarterback that paints his nails and all those other just garbage lines that people say to bring down Caleb Williams. And then likewise on the other side, hey, J.J. McCarthy is the run game merchant. J.J. McCarthy can post all the quotes about him working hard, but that doesn't matter because that doesn't translate to the actual field. He can post all of the meditation quotes for Marcus Aurelius and everything, but it doesn't matter whenever the lights get bright. And whenever you have Dennis Allen calling a tough defense against you. This is going to be one hell of a narrative-based game, either side. Who do you guys think is going to win? Because I think it's going to be the Minnesota Vikings, but that's me. All right. JJ's accurate, but too slow with his progressions. We'll see. I don't necessarily disagree, but we exactly haven't seen him with Justin Jefferson in real time. So, the guest is not Kay Adams next week, by the way. It is not Kay Adams. It's also not Brandon Perna. But, all right, we do have a couple super chats here. What do we have here? Samuel says, is it more likely for another quarterback in the league to reach Mahomes in Super Bowl rings or Mahomes to reach Brady? Definitely, without a doubt, somebody to reach Mahomes. To somebody to get 3 rings, Jalen Hurts is already a third of the way there, and their roster is really good. But for Mahomes to get not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 more, I would take the field. Generally speaking, whenever those questions are asked, I take the field. Vikings by 14-17 points. The guest is going to be Meadow. Meadow is in a video coming up. I did film an ad the other day for Bear Mattress. Shout out Bear Mattress. She's it. She'll be in that video. But the guest will not be Meadow. Although Meadow is very much a big part of the channel. She's awesome. The guest is confirmed. It will be that franchise guy. Amstel guessed it, and I saw a couple of other people guess it earlier. It will be my guy Marcus. We'll be breaking down every game. going forward. So Marcus will definitely be he'll be the guest. Tony said, "Good point. Thanks for addressing." No problem, Tony. I'm glad we did come to that reasonable conclusion. Does Meadow make royalties? That's a good question. She makes. Let me say this. She has the luxury. Meadow, but by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, Meadow is my dog. She's a 2-year-old beagle. The royalties she makes is living a completely stress-free life and being able to, at any point, if I'm knee-deep in a thought about, hey, how are the Packers going to use Micah Parsons in a B-gap blitz versus where they're going to use Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness, she has the ability to just snap of a finger pull me away from that at any time, because she's, like, not my child, but, like, if she's barking, if she's doing whatever, if she's getting into something, she'll take priority over that. But anyway, even I have a 2-year-old beagle. That's what's up. 2-year-old beagles. The terrible twos can definitely be applied at times. She's a bit of a crazy girl, but wouldn't trade her for the world. She's awesome. We do indeed love Meadow. She is awesome. Let's see here. Will the Vikings? I'm not gonna, guys. I don't care about the male cheerleaders. That is just asking to be clipped. I'm no comment. No comment. You can do what you want. They tried out. They made the team. Good for them. I'm not. No comment. The next guest is not no comment. They tried out. They made the team, and all that is just asking to get clipped. Can both the Bears and Vikings lose? I mean, look, both the Bears and Vikings can lose as long as both the Lions and Packers can lose Sunday. We can have that. All right, we can have that. Do the Seahawks have a top 3 secondary? I feel like the answer off the top of my head would be no. I like Tariq Woolen, but I think at times, and I think Seahawks fans would agree with this, I think Tariq Woolen definitely makes business decisions at times, but I love Spoon. I love Nicky Minwari. But I don't think you can say the Seahawks have a top 3 secondary right now, I mean, especially because there's some uncertainties within the secondary. So good on you, man, just trying to get a laugh. No, I mean that's just I mean, look, it's just asking to get clipped. There's definitely questions where it's like, I mean, and what's funny is now it's such a joke. Like if you were to say like, hey, what makes, it's just such a classic, what makes Ladd McConkey such a good receiver? Oh, I mean, he's just crafty. He's I mean, you guys know all the stereotypes for Ladd McConkey. It is what it is. All right. Let's see here. No comment is safe answer. I'll just go no comment. All right. Let's see here. The guest is not Brett Coleman, although he's welcome on the channel at any time. It is confirmed Marcus Whitman. Who is my underdog season for this team to make a run? Honestly, I have the whole schedule in front of me, or the whole team's in front of me, so I'm just going through. I would say the Jags. They play in a week. I mean, you could convince me that the Texans, Jags, Titans, any of them win the AFC South. Any of those teams. So the thing is what's the Liam Cohen impact? The Travis Hunter, the Brian Thomas Jr. How are they going to? But no, it's I mean, you could convince me any of those, especially with the edge duo the Jags have, and hopefully an improved secondary this year. So, thoughts on Travion Henderson? Really good back. Like him a lot. What's not to like? Over or under 200 million viewers for tonight's game? I would hammer the under. I feel like the Super Bowl was like 125 million. I don't think a week 1 matchup is going to get 200 million. So definitely under. But anyway, let's see here. Oh, but by the way, like I said, I do want to ask you guys this, and I'm actually looking for genuine feedback here. So we went live for the Eagles Cowboys last night recap. I'm debating. Do I go live again tonight for Chiefs Chargers? I mean, the thing is we're still going to recap these games in the week 1 recap Sunday night. I don't know if that's too much. Is that too much going live, 3 times in a span of 24 hours because of last night, the live right now, and then what would be the live later? I don't know. I'd have to make the thumbnail, take notes. There's a lot of notes to take. The thing is, and Cap just said you don't got to go live for every game. I'm not going to go live for every game. It's just more of like the primed, do we go live for this? Vikings 56, Bears 3. I would not, look, all I'm going to say is this, is if we Oh, I'm not gonna burn myself out, bro. We are good on that end. We're not. I can jaw. I live to yap about football. But if the Vikings would win 56-3, there would be a lot of reckless things said live on stream during the game. I mean, we would be. Look, the biggest thing I'm going to emphasize is to not overreact when you have time to live the moment down. Now, if you are watching your team play and you are, hey, Bryce Young just threw a 47-yard touchdown pass to Tetairoa McMillan. Tetairoa McMillan mosses Tyson Campbell in the process. You are a Panthers fan, scream at the TV, let's effing go. We have our quarterback of the future. We have our receiver of the future. I mean, a couple days go by. Don't sit here and tell me that that's the best quarterback receiver duo in the league, but, have your fun. Hell yeah. But I mean, I will be, if the Vikings make a lot of good plays Monday night and we get up 17 points, 21 points, there's going to be some things said. But bros media train until the Vikes go off. Look. I have the horns. What did ex-wife say? Okay, so my ex-wife, I have been... there were a couple comments about me looking young and then actually having an ex-wife. But it's the username, my ex-wife. Vikings Bears tie 3-3. There it is. Danger Zone just said an obligatory explanation for it. But anyway. Vikings Bears tie 3-3 would be interesting. JJ McCarthy stats prediction. That's a good question. That's a great question. I would say, I'll say 20, and this is, if you ask me again Monday, it'll probably change. I'm not going to remember this exact, but I'll say 20 for 32, 218 yards, and a touchdown. I think it's fair. I think it's definitely fair. AK is really hyped. Football is back. Dude, I'm hyped as well. This is the best time of year. This is like I said, this is my favorite 5-day span of the year. Kickoff, Friday night NFL, college football, week 1 NFL Sunday, and then Monday night. So, by the way, if you guys enjoyed the stream, please drop a like. We're at 120. Would appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody that is in here. Appreciate everybody. We'll be here. We'll be here every Friday, and we'll see about going live later. We'll see. Falcons going to be mid, says Mason. Why are moral victories disliked? It depends on the situation. I thought the Cowboys played really well last night. And I do want to credit, we'll talk about more about this, at some other point, but I thought the Cowboys played really well. They played a lot better than I thought they would. But it's not an actual win, and I get it. It's not a moral victory for the Bills this year to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs for the first time, to go 1-4 against Mahomes, and then to lose to the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. That would not be, that nobody would care. It would be cool. We beat Mahomes, but guess what? We still lost. So, moral victories is more of like, there are moral victories to be had, but not for serious contenders. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. But all right, tonight you have O'Marion Hampton playing. Would love to recap his game. We'll see. We might recap. Look, we might recap. Look, I live the yap about football. This is the best time of year. Got to make sure the voice is good for Thursday, though. So I might actually start pulling the mic closer. That way I'm actually not talking as loud. And that way we can still, have everything. So if the audio is good here, if this audio is good, this is actually a lot easier on the voice. So can you guys hear me fine? Because we might have to do this. I might just pull the mic a little closer. But we'll see. I think you guys are definitely talking me into, the, okay, audio's good. I don't know what ASMR is. Maybe I'm an unk. I don't know what that means. But I will catch you guys later. Am I posting this live? I got here so late. Yes, it will be posted. What is ASMR? What does that mean? Open an ASMR channel? I don't know what this means. I hope that's not something vulgar. Should I just Google this real quick? Let's go ahead and get some content here. Let's see what this is here. All right. Oh, ASMR is triggered by things like whispering voices. Apparently the word usage has been increased over the past 20 years. All right, well, I didn't know that. But anyway, I will keep you guys going. And or I will let you guys get going. Sorry. That'll wrap up today's stream. We might be live later for the Chiefs Chargers recap. And until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.